On a warm, sunny morning in Florida, just another day on the water turned into a nightmare. For most, a day on the boat is a time to relax, a time to forget about the stress of life and enjoy the open water. But for one woman, July 20th, 2025 would change her life forever. What should have been a peaceful escape turned into an excruciating fight for survival. Trapped in the middle of nowhere, in the depths of the Gulf of Mexico, she was fighting for her life against the person she trusted most, her husband. This is the story of Douglas Scott Nair and his wife, a story of betrayal, violence, and terror on the high seas. A story that could have ended with a tragic death, but instead became a chilling testament to the power of survival against the odds. Douglas Nair and his wife of 3 years had set out for a day of fishing on Sunday, July 20th. The sun was just beginning to climb, casting golden rays over the water as they motored out from Holmes Beach. For many, it would be a day spent in serene silence, drifting across the waves, reeling in fish, and enjoying the solitude of the open sea. But there was something off about that morning. According to his wife, Douglas's mood had shifted. He was unusually quiet, almost distant. Normally talkative and relaxed, his demeanor was now dark, brooding. It wasn't unusual for couples to have disagreements, but something about this felt different. As they ventured 33 miles off the coast of Bean Point, their boat bobbing in the waves, she noticed it, the anger bubbling just beneath the surface of his otherwise calm exterior. And that was when she decided to take action. To avoid a confrontation, she got into the water, grabbing onto a pool noodle to float and removing herself from the tension that was building between them. A simple choice, a simple escape. At least, that's what she thought. Little did she know, the water would become the stage for a nightmare she would never forget. As she floated in the water, holding on to the rope tied to the boat, she thought things would calm down. But as she glanced up, a chill ran down her spine. Douglas had untied the rope. He was putting the boat in gear. Without warning, he drove off, leaving her stranded in the middle of the ocean. Imagine being in that position, the fear of knowing you are completely alone, at the mercy of someone who is supposed to love you. The realization that, with every passing second, you are drifting farther from safety, farther from the life you once knew. That's what she faced. Abandoned. Alone. No way to contact anyone. She said she was afraid that he had left her there to die. But then, something unexpected happened. Another boat appeared on the horizon, and the victim believed that this might be her chance. Maybe her husband would come back. Maybe, just maybe, there was still hope. And sure enough, Douglas returned. But the worst was yet to come. The boat rocked as she climbed back aboard, her body still shaken from the initial shock of being left behind. She thought it was over. She thought she had survived. But then, the violence began. Out of nowhere, Douglas attacked. Without warning, he began to repeatedly punch her in the head. Her body went limp from the impact, and she could feel her world spinning. The blows kept coming, mercilessly, violently, as if his anger had taken complete control. And then, the unthinkable happened. Douglas stomped on her head with both feet, pushing her down, as if trying to crush her beneath his fury. In those moments, as the pain overwhelmed her, she realized she might not survive this. She might not make it back to shore. She lost consciousness several times, each time feeling herself slipping further into the abyss. Her mind raced with desperation. What could she do? How could she escape this? How could she survive this hellish nightmare? And then, a terrifying decision. She played dead. She slowed her breathing, made her body go limp. hoping that maybe, just maybe, he would stop. And for a moment, he did. But it wasn't over. Douglas wasn't done. He wasn't finished. If anything, his anger seemed to fuel him even more. He dragged her by her hair to the back of the boat, her head dragging against the cold, unforgiving metal, and threw her into the water once again. As she splashed into the deep, the world around her became a blur. The water filled her mouth, and she struggled to stay afloat. But the worst part was what came next. As she fought to keep her head above the water, she heard his voice. "I'm going to fucking kill you." And in that moment, she knew. This wasn't just a fight. This wasn't just an argument. This was an attempt on her life. But somehow, despite the blood pounding in her ears and the overwhelming fear, she didn't give up. With the other boat still approaching, she managed to link her feet around the ladder, holding on with every ounce of strength she had left. She clung to life, her body exhausted, her mind screaming for survival. She had to hold on. She had to survive. And then, just as Douglas attempted to drive off again, she held on, refusing to let go. She was no longer just floating in the water. She was holding on to life itself. Her fingers were numb, but she refused to let go. As the boat slowed, she climbed back aboard, only to be thrown into the water again. But this time, she had a rope tied to her ankle. She knew she had to act fast, or this would be the end of her. Douglas, seeing her trailing behind, continued to fight her, pulling her by the rope, but she kept fighting. She refused to give up. She refused to let him win. When the boat finally returned to the dock, she made a break for it. She ran, stumbling, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew she had to escape. She had to survive. And then, she did something that would change everything. She ran straight to the Holmes Beach Police Department. It was 1:37 p.m., and she was barely able to stand. Her face was swollen, her right eye completely shut from the beating. She had a concussion, multiple contusions, and her body was covered in bruises. She was barely hanging on, but she had made it. She had survived. But Douglas Nair wasn't finished. The police immediately began their investigation, but Douglas had already fled. He was seen leaving the area in his pickup truck, and it wasn't until the next day that he was arrested. What would happen next? How did this man, who had promised to love and cherish his wife, turn into the monster who tried to kill her? Was this the first time he had shown such violent tendencies? Or was there more to this story than meets the eye? The story doesn't end here. Stay tuned for the next part of this chilling case as we dive deeper into Douglas Nair's past and uncover the dark truths behind his violent outburst. What caused a seemingly ordinary man to attempt something so horrific? If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, please reach out to local authorities or support services. No one should have to live in fear. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave your thoughts in the comments. We'll be following up with more updates and insights. This is a case that deserves to be heard. Stay with us as we uncover the truth.